Good evening, fellow heretics. Welcome to tonight's show. I am your host, Captain Dadpool.
And I'm Natty Nat.
And you are watching Nerds and Heresy.
Hold on to your butts.
All right, welcome everyone. It's epic, right? It's the best part of the show. Like, everybody can leave now, and you've seen the best that you're gonna see. Like, that intro is everything. It's all downhill from here. So hi everybody. Tonight we have Forrest, who's been with us before, Renegade science teacher, huge fan of his, and of course the man who needs no introduction, Matt Dillahunty, is joining.
Who's that guy?
Who is that guy? That guy's so strange.
Yeah, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel this week. Sorry. Yeah. So you gotta do what you gotta do. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I did AXP earlier, and I'm just prepping for a convention. And it was like, since you were gracious enough to come on and do an episode of Atheist Experience, when you were like, "Oh, you want to come hang out with us?" I said, "Yeah, hell yeah." And plus, I get to hang out with Forrest, which we hadn't done yet.
Right? Yeah. I'm excited to introduce you guys. Both of you have like a huge pull with the communities that you're a part of, and I think merging them would be an amazing experience for both of you.
I don't think it would be difficult, honestly. I think most of the people who watch me probably already watch Matt and know what he's all about. So I don't think it will be too hard to fuse the two, you know?
Same.
Say the glue's not going to be very sturdy. It's already going to mesh pretty well anyway. So.
And by the time I get back from American Atheist and I start planning out, Forrest, let's see if we can get you on a hang up on Wednesday or Atheist Experience on a Sunday. There, it was just
wherever you want me. Wherever you want me. I got nothing but free time.
Just have fun.
I feel like that's a lie, Forrest.
It's an extreme lie, but I will make time for this.
I was about to say, like, you got nothing but free time in your dreams. In here, maybe, but not out here.
How busy could you possibly be?
Yeah. Please hand some of that free time to the rest of us.
All right. So everyone in the chat, feel free to ask questions of either Matt or Forrest or myself or Nat. We're just having a casual hangout conversation. Hey, Shannon.
And Shannon's here. It's a pleasure to see you.
Always good to see Shannon.
What? Always. Shannon's here? I can't get away from her.
Right. I know you were just on like a show with her of some kind, right?
She's not done.
That's so weird.
I don't like the way she positions her lips.
I heard about that. The
controversy. Some random criticisms to give to Shannon. It's like, stop doing your lips that way. And I was like,
how you position your lips?
It was that, and that she's a woman who uses big words, I think was another one that she was recently talking about. Just absolute insanity, dude.
Words are hard sometimes. I am blown away at the hate that female or women atheists get.
Yeah.
Because I don't get nearly that kind of hate.
No.
No one's criticizing my lips or my hair.
Exactly.
I can do it if you want.
The very few times that I've actually posted
my tone, no one says anything about that.
Yep.
Yeah, the very few times I've actually posted something with atheist content, those are the ones where I get a lot of backlash. And it's almost never. No, I can't say almost never. There's definitely always Christians in there that will say something, but normally it's from other atheists that just backlash.
Oh, there are some toxic ass people in the atheist community.
That's the damnable misery of that intersectionality, is that you don't just have atheist problems or woman problems. You have atheist woman problems. And you get this whole new breed of just stupid.
I do find it very interesting that when, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I'll probably get some backlash from this, when women use, we must call the church. Thank you, Morgan.
She's a witch.
She's a witch.
Burn her.
When men step back from the church, they're already used to being on a higher pedestal than women. And I think it's very interesting how they don't deconstruct that idea.
Yeah.
That's really fair to say.
They hold on to. So it's like, oh yeah, they took a step back from the church, but women still don't know as much as I do. Like they can't, because obviously we're still the greater of the two sexes.
That is a remarkable point.
That's really good.
I get
make a video about that.
Criticized for a lot of stuff, and I get hate messages and other things. And some of the criticisms are, I mean, they're just true. Can I occasionally be a prick? Yep. Can I occasionally be arrogant and condescending? You betcha.
Guilty.
Is that the norm? Well, okay, that's debatable. But nobody calls in or sends an email in. Occasionally somebody might comment on the beard, but it's almost always positive. And nobody's ever called in to say, you know, Matt's lips just aren't good, or, you know, I guess not having hair means I won't get comments on the hairdo that much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been called. Well, it's kind of an ongoing joke within my friend circle that they'll say it's like, oh, it's a good thing you're pretty. But there was one time someone commented that, and some other people took it as like, oh yeah, so we can make fun of her then. Great. Yeah, it's a good thing your nose isn't too long. It's like, you kind of look Jewish. Are you Jewish? I'm like, no, I'm not Jewish.
Dude, the amount of Nazis on TikTok, I feel like
dude.
growing up.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
It's unreal.
It's
I get banned from lives every time. So for me, I'll be sitting in my recliner. I'll pull up TikTok. I don't know why, but I'm moderately addicted, I suppose. And I start scrolling through the things that come up until one that comes up where alive where you can tap in. And then I look, and if they're preaching or whatever, I tap in because I go in there first. I don't just jump in on, you know, although I do jump in on some of my atheist friends stuff. And so I listen. And by and large, I usually ask one of the same couple of questions. Number one is, are you here just to, you know, preach and fellowship, or are you taking questions? And if they're not taking questions, I'm not there to disturb their prayer group. So I just move on. I want to find the people who want questions. And then when I get to one where I can ask questions, depending on whatever the subject is, I might ask something simple like, well, how do I know that God has told you something? You know, let's talk about the methodology that we would go through to determine whether or not I have a rational belief that God actually conveyed a message to you. I can't count the number of times I've been banned after the first question. And the other day, I mentioned there was this really nice woman on TikTok who had been asked about trans women and whether or not they should be expected to reveal their status. And this is something I've been over a gazillion times. And anybody, you can tune in the Transatlantic Call-In show where you can find Arden and Katie talking about this as well. But I was pointing out that you don't have a right to know anybody's medical history, and that it's almost, I don't know, what are the limits on what I can and can't say on here? Can I be?
Oh, whatever you want.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's almost like some of them have this imagined scenario that they're not going to find out that they're dating someone with a penis until it's in their throat. And I'm like, that's not the way any of this actually works.
If you actually talk to a person, they'll tell you.
Yes.
They'll talk to you about, they're like, hey, I don't want you to be surprised, but there's something down there you may not have expected. Maybe we should talk about this.
But not all trans women have penises anyway. And so there's all this, but she's like, well, I would expect them to reveal it for the same reason that in the same way that somebody would have to reveal that they have AIDS. And I'm like, did you just compare being trans to having AIDS? And she said, no, I didn't do that. What I did was I said that they should have to reveal for the same reason. And I'm like, you literally just did it again.
Yeah.
And because of that, I got blocked from some other apologists TikTok, because he's like, you were mean to my friend and called her a liar. And I was like, yeah, because she was fucking lying.
That's so rough, dude. That's so incredibly rough. First of all, thank you for shouting out Arden and Katie. I've been loving their show. I found out about it after Shannon tuned me into it. It was fantastic. But like the amount of people who feel like they're entitled to know this, the amount of people who think that it's like their responsibility, they have to go out and like tell everybody, hey guys, I'm trans, just so you know, talk to me if you want, don't if you don't. Like, why would you do that in literally any other situation? And then I think the biggest thing that gets me is when people ask, like they conflate this idea of, well, if I like this trans girl and I date this trans girl and then I found out she's trans later, oh, well, now am I gay now? Did something happen to me? Have they wronged me in this way? They made me do something homosexual. It's like, what are you attracted to?
Yeah.
You're attracted to the feminine.
That does bring up a nice segment of like introspection, like towards someone's own self morals and values. But but it shouldn't be an aggressive thing. It should be something like, oh, wow, I didn't really realize this about myself. Maybe I should, experiment a little more.
Yeah.
So people just have no inner dialogue.
And it's funny because whether it's about trans individuals in sports or in the dating realm, all we ever hear about is trans women, trans women, trans. This stuff doesn't happen. This is a holdover from homophobia. If I'm attracted to someone and it turns out that they were born with genitals that look like mine, does that mean I'm gay? Because I definitely don't want to be gay. Gay would be the worst thing to be. And I'm just like, oh my God,
why?
yes. I remember I saw a video of Bailey J taking questions. She's a trans porn star. She was taking questions, and one of the questions was like, if I find you hot, does that mean I'm gay? And she just looked in the camera and goes, yes. Cool.
If you're going to ask that question, you're going to get an answer. Absolutely. Yes. Enjoy.
Anyway.
Awesome.
I recommend looking up more dicks. Enjoy.
It is weird how it is always just attacking trans women as well. I have yet to hear any like, I don't think any of these arguments are serious, but I've yet to hear anybody making serious big videos and stuff about trans men. That this someone's going to come out here and out power lift me, and then I find that they're a woman at the end of it. Oh my God, what's happened to me? Or I'm going to go out and have to go into a boxing match, and then I find out that they were a woman before. All these same brainless arguments, they don't go that way because it's just supposed to be this dog whistle, this super reduced talking point of, oh, it's a man in a dress then, and then I can make fun of this person. And like, it's insanely, it's frustrating just how transparent the arguments are. And it's just how one-sided they are.
It's like the perfect juxtaposition between misogyny and homophobia, because you get to engage in both of them.
You can do both, yeah. You don't have to pick anymore. You can do them both at the same time.
Absolutely.
It looks like we have a lot of people that are interested in discussing the trans issues. There's actually that's what most of the questions are coming from. I mean, we did have some questions at the beginning though. If you want to go back and talk about them.
I want to answer this one. There's one for me. How does it feel to be useful to people who are deconstructing? Does it help you to know your work is loved? It's very helpful because I used to struggle with feelings of like, I don't know, meaninglessness. Like I felt like I had wasted the entirety of like the last 30 years of my life as a Christian, and going to Bible college and trying very hard, doing very well. And suddenly I don't believe in any of it. Like I felt like everything was for nothing. So now that people are finding my content helpful in their journey, like it makes it feel like it's not for nothing anymore. So I am genuinely very grateful for that.
I did also, since you're speaking specifically about that, there are a couple of things here in the chat that I'm seeing that like look like interesting things that I do want to hear your opinions on about.
Oh, please.
I've been watching these too. Is the one by Will Bryant one of the ones that
it is not? It was one by Amney there. Something about Gog and Magog. I am also down to ramble on about trans issues because as a biologist, I find the whole debate fucking insane.
It is so cool.
I would love to do that as well. But that is also one that I thought looked really fun too. That I would love to hear, especially Ricky and Matt. I want to hear your takes on as people who have studied the Bible at great length.
Sure.
I know my take on it, where I would just say like, yeah, Bible prophecies are just like any other fairy tale book. You can point to anything in there and say, this is what it is. And most of the prophecies in the Bible are something they said is going to happen in one chapter. And then it does happen in the next chapter. And they say, it's a prophecy fulfilled. But like,
it's self-fulfilling.
This one with Gog and Magog, I hear it used for like every possible scenario of any civilization from the East is Gog and Magog. So
and a lot of these prophecies are ambiguity fallacies. Wars and rumors of wars, famine, earthquakes. What the fuck does that mean? There's always, every war comes with
because
famine.
Those natural disasters always happen. They're a guaranteed prophecy. It's not a prophecy.
That's not that crazy.
That can and will happen at some point. The probability of its existence is so high that it can be considered a prophecy without it actually being a prophecy.
And what kills me about like Jesus didn't fulfill any of the messianic prophecies, which is why the Jews rejected him as the Messiah. But they brought the disciples, according to Luke and Matthew, they brought him in to Jerusalem on a donkey, which was to fulfill the prophecy. But it actually says in Matthew, it is this was done to fulfill the prophecy. Like it's like a like a literary slip almost. This like was done to fulfill the prophecy. Like they did this to do, but then if you go back to the scripture is referencing, which is in Isaiah 7, I think it is. After he enters
you talking about Gog and Magog?
Yeah.
It's Ezekiel.
Oh, I'm not talking about Mog and.
Oh, you're not talking about Magog.
I'm just talking about prophecies in general about Jesus. Okay. Because after they bring him into Jerusalem, he then conquers Jerusalem, unites the tribes, and ends the wars. Like the disciples couldn't make that happen, but they could bring him into Jerusalem on a donkey. Like, that's easy. We can do that. But the rest of that prophecy, they couldn't do. So, like, you can't pick and choose.
Right.
Oh yeah, we do have Dave in the chat. That's awesome.
So yeah, Dave's in here. So
see Dave.
I'll see you in Georgia, Dave. We'll talk.
I invited Dave Warnock.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Okay, sorry, I didn't see him. Yeah. I invited him on the show. He said he was traveling. He's gonna be too tired. You know how much of a prima donna Dave can be.
Always.
You know, so
how dare someone who's dying whine so much?
How could they? I mean, at least we're dying on the inside quietly. He's dying out loud.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly right. I know. Yeah.
Attention hog is what it is.
I know.
Oh.
If he weren't so damn lovable, we'd all gotten
right. Gosh darn it, Dave! Get a bad personality for once.
Yeah. You got to go and you got to write this book that's like made me like fucking cry in my car. All right, so
yeah,
you know I've been to war, but you wrote a book that made me fucking cry. Thank you for that.
It's okay. He needed to express his feelings somehow. You helped.
So on the actual question that came in about Gog and Magog, so despite what some people think, I am not a Bible scholar, and there's tons of things that I've actually forgotten about this. I'm not. I just know more than most Christians are going to come running across. And there's lots of things I've forgotten. And so I know that Gog and Magog is from Ezekiel. And I also know that every time I've tried to look into this, everything has been completely unclear because the Hebrew word in Ezekiel for Gog is of unknown, uncertain origins and seems to apply to be applied to a person. And perhaps also a nation, but there's nothing about this supposed prophecy of against Gog that is like it only became an end time prophecy when Christians started searching through to see if they could. Let's see if we can find anything at all that might be interpreted in such a way to do this. Yep. And so I remember hearing, like Gog and Magog, Gog and Magog, Gog and Magog, and it's like 2 verses. That don't really say much of anything. Like I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. I have my Bible, my eSword Bible utility up here. Now I know that it's spoken of outside of the Bible in Midrash stuff, but I'm not Jewish and I don't know the Jewish heritage of this. Ezekiel 38:2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. And the Hebrew word there is just Gog. It's H1463. The land of Magog, which is H4031, which is derived from the other one. So you can't tell anything from here, and they're not used really elsewhere. There's only 4 occurrences of this in the entire King James Bible and 10 of Gog. The chief prince of Meshech and the Tubal and prophecy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Congratulations. This counts as a prophecy for the end times nowadays.
I'm not even going to lie. I definitely was thinking of the hills and not of the Bible.
Like that's why I brought that up.
Like when you guys were like, the prophecy of Gog and Magog, I was like, there's a prophecy.
I hear this one all the time, though, like all the time. Whenever people are like, well, this is, we see today Russia's invading in Ukraine, and this is Gog and coming in the east, and then China with their big army is the Magog, like, or it's this, that, and the other. And it's always just pick any random Eastern country. And like that's one of them, and then another one's the other one, and then 2 billion people are gonna die, and then the rapture. And like,
can we talk about the racism involved in that? Can we? Can we
Dude,
discuss that?
I'm glad you brought it up because that's exactly where I was going with it. And I'm so glad you got it.
Why is it that the Gog Magog prophecy couldn't be fulfilled every time the U.S. invaded something? Tell me why that's not a thing.
Seriously.
Because our eyes aren't slanted.
Right? We're the fancy people. That's it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And it's always events that are big enough to affect us white people, not smaller events in like, say, let's see, I think I misheard the Gog Magog, or like there's some prophecy going on when Congo was like turning in on itself. That was a whole other ball game, but like, no one's going to talk about that except the Congolese because it affected them. Yeah.
We're always going to be the victims and the heroes of our own story.
Right.
As white people.
Sorry.
Which is just the epitome of supremacy. Like, no matter what's going on in the world, it's all about us. It's always about us.
Always. It always has been.
Like, fucking infuriating.
Yep. I remember watching that. I made a video about it a little while ago, but somebody was posting on TikTok these videos of like about how all the different races are different interbreedings and alien experiments and all these things, and they're trying to play off this whole. I got just a question about the other day. I was talking about Homo erectus, and they're like, "Well, yeah, because the aliens took Homo erectus and tinkered on them and made them the perfect slaves, and this is what made humans and this stuff." And they're showing all these things, and that's why Africans have bigger noses and bigger lips and darker skin. And that's why Asian people have eyes. And I'm like, okay, hold on just a second. But bigger noses and bigger lips than whom? Darker skin than whom? Why is this the template for humanity?
Yeah.
Why is this the standard?
This is the default setting, apparently.
Why aren't you talking about how weirdly thin my lips are? Why aren't we talking about how round my eyes are? Like, it's so frustrating.
I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but that does go into the whole ancient aliens thing and discriminating and completely eliminating the possibility that what was it? Not underprivileged. What's the word I'm looking at? Like an under-evolved people could have created such things as the pyramid. I was like, I don't know about you guys. If you take a bunch of rocks and pour them out, they become rather cone-like. Is that not right? I also wanted to point out that archaeologically, there has been a significant development. That there was a video of some experimental archaeologists using sleds, water, and wood to move massive amounts of limestone from one place.
I saw that.
Yes, big development because this is
really cool.
It's like 25 guys can move all of this, and it's like, well, this looks very probable. I mean, it's the bare minimum, but it's completely possible to do this now. So, take away the aliens, because that's just like it's a subterfuge to say that aliens did it when in fact it's just white people saying that anyone besides white people can't do these things.
You know what, though, Nat? What you're not paying attention to, and you as an archaeologist should be doing better about this, honestly.
Oh, God.
That nowhere in any Egyptian writing did they ever say that there weren't aliens. So, like, how can we rule this out? And how, if they didn't say
that's a good point, Nat. That's a good point.
Are we going to get into the whole thing about Osiris doing this? Like, I don't know if you can see doing this.
Yes.
And he has wings.
I made a TikTok about that the other day.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I know. It's like,
it's Horus. Like Horus was crucified because of a inscription of him going like this. Like, he was a bird god. He was flying. He wasn't being crucified.
His face is like this, and there's a beak. Of course he's a bird.
He was fucking radical, just yeeting himself in the sky.
Like, see, he was crucified. They didn't crucify people in ancient Egypt. That was not a thing in ancient Egypt.
No, not until the Romans came in and decided, oh, hey, these people, they need to be tortured.
The Romans didn't invent
our torture device,
but they made it mainstream pretty much.
Yeah. No, it was crucifixion was like, I mean, it's a terrible way to die, but it was like the most efficient method of getting information because people don't want to be crucified. Like as soon as they're up there, like they're in pain, they're like, fuck, they'll tell you anything. And then it's like, you can bring them down or just kill them. I don't know. They just don't fucking like, I love how Matt's giggling.
I just like
you're dealing with us.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, the thing is, I can't say that you are wrong. That's one of the, so this keeps getting me in trouble is from both atheist friends of mine and from theist friends of mine. And non-friends too. The apologists get really irritated because I'm willing to say I don't know. As a matter of fact, somebody reviewed I debated Mike Licona on the resurrection. That's who Bart Ehrman just debated.
Yeah.
And I showed up to say, hey, if you came here expecting Mike to say, yes, the resurrection occurred, and me to say, no, the resurrection did not occur, you've come to the wrong debate. And then I went on to explain about the burden of proof and how the real position is he's convinced of something and I'm not convinced. And I'm going to be able to explain why I'm not convinced. And I can point out why his arguments aren't compelling.
I would say you're not required to prove that it didn't happen. You're just required to have reasonable doubt that it didn't happen.
Right. Well, this guy who's a Christian and a debate instructor paused it right there to just declare me the loser because I didn't show up to do this. And I'm like, hang on. You weren't in any of the emails with me and the moderators and organizers of this when I talked about what I was and wasn't going to do. And second of all, the fact that you are still thinking about debates in the terms of win or lose, like I give a crap about that. People are going to walk into every debate. Some of them are going to leave thinking exactly what they thought when they walked in. Some of them are going to think I won. Some are going to think that my opponent won. I don't care. The goal for me in debates is not to win, but to get information out so that people can't say, oh, I've never heard an atheist speak to this, or gosh, I bet as an atheist, you've never heard of Gog or Magog. And I can say, yeah, after Ezekiel 39, it's not mentioned again until Revelation. Really big, important thing. You know, I'm glad you remembered it. No, but I get the same thing when I'm willing to say I don't know from others. I don't want to get into it too much, but I mean, I'm not a mythicist. I will acknowledge that Christians can't demonstrate that he even existed, and that's a big problem for them. But the fact that they can't show that he actually existed isn't enough to conclude that he didn't exist. And I don't know how to prove that there wasn't a real person behind some of it. But if you list everything in Jesus's life, pretty much none of it is verifiable, and almost all of it is in the realm of myth. And so if somebody's convinced, I think it's probably myth. Cool. I got no beef with that. It's when you go a step further to say, oh, we've demonstrated, we've met the burden of proof twice that this guy doesn't exist, or you're misunderstanding or whatever. And then all I've said is, it's like people don't realize that, yes, there are either a God exists or a God doesn't exist, or either some God exists or no God exists. That would be more correct. But the fact that those are the only two options doesn't mean that I'm necessarily convinced of either one. I may be, I may not be. I may be unconvinced of both of them. That's why when propositional logic, we use a proposition, two premises to lead to conclusion, but the entire thing is about one point. The proposition, some God exists, because if we were instead trying to create an argument for a question, does a God exist? Well, now that's yes, no, I don't know. That's three. But if you say some God exists, there's only two options. Either it's true or it's not true. Either you have a reasonable belief in it or you do not. And when I say I don't know, or when I refuse to defend, I can prove there is no God and that Jesus never existed and Jesus wasn't resurrected. When I don't do that, the theists try to claim victory. And so, by the way, do people in a number of other positions that have nothing to do with theism. It's like, well, you couldn't prove me wrong. Correct, because you have an unfalsifiable proposition.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I absolutely love the fact that you're willing to say I don't know. That's one of my favorite things is when someone says I don't know. I'm like, well, let's look it up. Like, let's use this to jump in and learn something.
Yep.
Here's the problem, though. As a woman, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go there. As a woman, if I'm
I'm sorry, Natty. I'm sorry, Natty. The rest of us were talking.
Right.
Typical.
Yeah.
You should smile more.
Yeah, if I say I don't know, I immediately get dismissed on the subject because I'm officially not like no longer am I a professional or know anything about it. It's if I don't know everything about a subject, then immediately I am obviously like dismissed. Like you cannot you can't trust anything that comes out of my mouth because I said I don't know about one thing. Mm-hmm. So I have to be careful with saying it. But I do like to mention when I'm like, I cannot say yes or no to this because I don't know enough about it to say yes or no.
Plus, we shouldn't let you vote because you might be being unduly influenced by some man in your life.
I could be buying into all that propaganda and not actually know what's going on.
If you're not being unduly influenced, that's another problem. Why aren't you married yet? You know, what's going on with that?
It's a lose-lose situation.
Seamstress.
Oh yeah, no, I'm already super threatening. I'm an unmarried woman in America with an occupation and a degree. And I don't have any kids.
Oh no.
One of my patrons on Patreon, she lives in an apartment complex, and she has these Mormons as her neighbors. And she told me once that like she's, you know, in her mid 30s, she's not married, she doesn't have any kids, she's pursuing a career, and apparently she caught her neighbors, her Mormon neighbors, warning everyone else in the complex about her, that she is this witch of a woman, this evil influence because she's not married and doesn't want children. Oh man. So what you were talking about though with everything as far as, you know, the burden of proof and all these things, what really bothers me the most is when you'll have someone, you'll take a Christian apologist who will try to just say, well, I can prove that Jesus existed, or this burned out line that I keep hearing of, well, we have more evidence for Jesus than Caesar and George Washington and all this stuff. And then they tack on all the baggage that comes along with that. Like, well, so I can prove that he existed. Radical. Cool. We'll all agree that he existed. So then he was the Son of God and he performed miracles and he was resurrected.
No,
all these things.
I didn't agree to that.
Every single one of those is a whole other conversation we have to have now. You can't jump that way. Oh,
yeah. Like again, a Jew who was executed by the Roman government in the first century.
Totally unbelievable. Can't.
It's not weird. Why is that weird to believe that?
Yeah.
Impossible.
The only weird thing is that this is the one story that people know rather than, you know, a dozen stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the most popular of those stories, so it must be false. That's not how that works.
Right. Yeah.
There's more evidence of this than there is any of the other ones, so this one is a little suspicious. Yeah, okay.
Oh, are we really gonna? Okay, Morgan, why is it every time? Why is it we bring up the mountains? Why do we want to bring up the mountains from the Mormons? Every time Mormons brings up, we immediately go straight into cannibalism. Can we please explain this? Because I don't feel the need to.
Tell her to ask her Mormon neighbors to explain mountain meadows. You're gonna have to break this down for me.
The short of it is a bunch of Mormons tried to take a path because, you know, God said that they can get through the mountains before snow hits. Snow hit, couldn't make it through the mountains. Suddenly cannibalism became a thing in order for some of them to survive.
Happens.
Oh wait, no, that is the Willis hand cart.
You're getting your cannibal stories mixed up.
I am. I'm getting them. That's the massacre.
They're all the same.
There's so many of them.
Mount Meadow was the massacre. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. Hold on. I don't remember how many people were in that. Let me look it up really quick.
I usually just go with the whole, why do black people exist in your opinion? Like, that's apparently a big sticking point for the Mormon Church.
Yeah, they have a hard time with that one.
It was 120 members. That was it.
The mark of Cain and all that is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were bound for talent. Yeah, and they got killed. Mm-hmm.
They were killed, or they killed somebody else?
No, they were fucking murdered. It was a massacre.
Wow, Lord.
But God said that they would be safe, and then they all died. 120 people.
That's what you get for trusting God.
Yeah, and then another group decided to try and cross the mountains before winter. Everybody was like, "No, stay, don't go." And then they were like, "No, but God said," or like Joseph said this, or like Joe Smith says we're gonna do fine, and you go, and then like they ate half of them, and we're gonna wear the Jesus shirt now. Oh,
that's a fun hat.
God can't be wrong, which means whoever thought they got that message from God, they were the ones that were wrong, because God can't be wrong. I know that.
Okay. Oh,
I see what we're doing.
He's gonna play the contradiction.
He's playing devil's advocate. For lack of a better term.
Hold on.
that God worked really hard on it. Major League Black Lives Matter. I love that.
Yeah, it's a Black Lives Matter hat.
I love that.
Hold on.
You're a Pokemon trainer now.
We're all doing hats.
Okay.
God worked really hard on a play, and none of the angels were going to show up, so he had to murder those people, so people would feel obligated to come along and sit down and attend the whole performance. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have any hats.
You don't have any hats. I was like, I put my archaeology hat on. Hold on.
I've got nothing. I can't contribute to this gimmick.
Wait, I don't know what Forrest hat is.
This one, that's the Ash Ketchum. It's the cancer.
Yeah, it's Pokemon. You uncultured fuck.
A Darwin hat.
Yeah, I like the Darwin hat.
What did he say?
swap
I gotta
them?
send off so many box tops to the Pokemon League to get this hat or something like that.
Is that what you did? Did you do the box tops to get that one?
Yeah, no. That's what in episode 1 he says like he had to send something into the Pokemon League to win the hat.
That makes
and so
sense.
it's like his prized possession throughout the thing. I also have my league badges back here on this shelf.
I saw your flexy bendiness.
I am very flexible. I did gymnastics.
I would
in my younger days.
I would love to watch that. Can that be your next TikTok? Can you try to do?
It was a video of was it Cardi B during one of her concerts?
Oh no, Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, went back
and she did like the whole backbend thing, and the guy was like, "There are demons in our music," and so I stitched it and I did the exact same thing.
And I love that Rachel caught you doing it too and filmed that. So then it's not only just you, it's also you doing it. So
I hate her for doing that,
which is great. I love.
She likes to take videos of me making videos and like do like behind the scenes.
It's awesome,
and it always looks super awkward.
But it's so great.
I gotta get some tips on how to do TikTok better.
I think we're doing a panel about that, aren't we?
Good.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about doing atheist content on the panel, I think.
Because I mean, I don't get to complain. I've only done like maybe 10 videos. Hang on. Let me mute this and swipe up to get it to shut the fuck up. eight videos. That's it. That's all I put up on there. And you know, they've got some of them have one has got almost 20,000 views. One of them I put up the other day has got 15,000, but I only have I have less than 6,000 followers. So I'm getting almost 3 times the followers as actual views, which is the exact opposite of what happens on YouTube, where I've got like 150,000 subscribers and videos are getting 50,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I want to do something, it's like I've found one green screen thing that I know how to use now, which is the put up your hand and it'll put this thing you want to do.
Yeah, you just got to practice after a while. It's fine. I mean, Ricky will be on the panel, of course, and then I'm going to be in the room.
I won't be on the panel actually.
You're not going to be on the
panel? I sacrificed my spot so somebody else could.
What? Who's going to be on there? I mean, Eve is going to be on there, right? And
yeah, Eve, Mel, Baff, Jeff.
What is man? Where is it? This sounds.
This is at the atheist.
We're going to the atheist convention. That's this next weekend.
Sons of bitches. Okay, cool. Well, I'll look that up, yes, and see if
it's Easter weekend.
If you want to go, I'm driving. If you want to carpool with me,
it's this weekend. I'm giving a lecture talk thing,
and I'm doing a magic show at the that's a paid dinner event. That's the fundraiser from before that, but
yeah, that's Thursday
I could get you in.
Is that Thursday or Friday?
I think it's Friday.
Friday. Okay.
I could get you in.
We've got to have a time to just get some of us together just to go get drinks or something. Because
I would love that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm doing it Sunday, and I'm also, for reasons I don't need to get into here, going to be scrubbing a lot of deer mandibles that day. So it's just not going to work.
Oh, I do want to know. Are you testing enamel? Are you going to be taking some drills? I love it.
And so I've got to get that finished over that weekend. I'm already doing AXP anyway. Plus, I'm trying to record a new YouTube video. So to drive all the way to Atlanta, I just see that it's not gonna be possible.
It's okay. We will find a way. But
I know Cease and J Mike are going too.
Cease and J Mike are going.
I did not know that. That's cool.
And Aaron Raw owes me a drink, so he has to.
He does.
He does. He said
he
so
probably doesn't remember, but he does.
He said he owes me a pint. So we I have to meet up with him and hang out. So
I have a gift for him as well.
You have a gift for him? Oh.
Yeah, it's not for me though. I wouldn't get him anything.
I don't know what I would get him except, you know.
What sort of gift is it? Is it of the adult beverage variety?
No. So somebody who's a fan of me and Arn and Seth sent me a package because they were able to find an address to get to me, but they couldn't find addresses for Seth or Arn. So it includes a letter and their book. So in the package were 3 packages, one listed for me, and inside was my instructions to deliver these other packages to Seth and Arn. And I've had them for like probably 7 or 8 months. And I'm like, you do realize that we're in a pandemic and that I live in.
So someone gifted you an errand to run.
Yes.
I was going to say, if we meet up, I will deliver those packages if you can't find them right away.
I'll have no problem finding them when we get there. It's just that's the first time we'll all 3 be in the same place.
That's fair.
Oh my God. That's
I'm going to deliver.
A note to Morgan. Yeah, it would have been great to have you come down to this, but I didn't know if you would be busy or not. And a note to Dustin. No, I'm not going to kidnap Forrest. I'm pretty sure he could beat me up.
I don't know if you live in Tulsa.
I don't know, Nat. You're pretty big. You might be taller than Forrest.
No, so Forrest, you've got to be. You're like what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, I'm 6'2". Well,
yeah, I'm 6
Jesus.
foot. So I don't know. I could probably pick him up, but I don't think I could fight him off.
Why are all my friends huge?
Why are all my friends huge? I don't know. Did you see the picture that I posted on my Instagram of Ricky and I? We finally met up, and he's like right here on me.
Yeah, you gave me a piggyback ride.
I did. I gave him a piggyback ride.
Well, Norse Forge smacked my ass. Good times. Good times.
Good. That was fun. We were being.
I'll be at this atheist convention, but over the summer, I haven't announced this anywhere, so this is exclusive to you guys. So, I'm a feature creator this year, and so I will be driving to Anaheim. And on the way there, I'm going to be doing stops at like the Grand Canyon and at the meteor craters and at the Lowell Observatory. We're going to make all sorts of cool science content along the way. So like, if people want to collaborate that way, that'll be great. But like, other than that, I don't know. This might be the best I can do for the time being.
If you end up focusing too much on like geography bits, in Austin, there's a place called Hamilton Pool you should look up.
Okay.
That is actually, yes. No, write it down. This is a good one. It's
I was wanting to go to Austin for a while anyway.
Well, there's a guest room here if you need it. Just yell.
Well, thank you.
I was gonna say you guys are all in Texas. That's the only trick. It's like I don't go to Texas as much as I used to. My parents live there, but there's not near Austin.
I was born there and I left as soon as I could.
But I don't live in Texas. I live in Austin. We're surrounded by Texas, but
right.
we will never surrender.
Yeah,
Austin's really just Austin is a suburb of Portland. It's just like in Texas.
I posted a video a little while ago of myself boiling crawfish in my kitchen, and these people were all commenting like, "Why would you do that inside? That's crazy." I'm like, "I don't want to go outside. It's Oklahoma out there. It's
Oklahoma out there." That's why you do it in the garage.
What's the weather like, Oklahoma?
It's dude. It was below freezing yesterday. It is 80 degrees today. I hate it. I hate it every day here.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But yeah, we're going to be I'll be traveling to VidCon and doing a whole bunch of things there. And I'm looking for ways to just like teach more cool science on the go. Like I want to be like the smarter every day of evolution and atheism. Go pop up in places and just like teach cool things about the science of that area.
You know what I mean? I wish so. Something that, well,
this one's for you, Forrest.
This is probably going to be a to be announced type of thing, but Well and Septic and I are going to do some roadside geology videos soon, where it's just we stop at cutouts, go out, and I explain why there's different layers of rock and why they're in this direction and why they're like this instead of like this, or why there's like this weird spiral thing happening.
Next time I'm in North Carolina, I will hit you up and we will discuss.
I mean, you could hit me up now. I'm in Missouri.
Yeah.
Oh, where in Missouri?
You what?
Roughly whereabouts in Missouri?
I am north of Branson, just a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah. We go to Branson every summer.
Yeah, no, we talked about this.
We'll go to Silver Dollar City and we'll ride the wildfire until our next break and discuss geology on live stream. It'd be great.
God, that sounds like fun.
Why do you say that, Matt? What's going on there?
Well, I was born in Kansas City area, went to high school in the St. Louis area, and I have relatives all over the Ozarks. And so whenever I hear somebody's from Missouri, I'm like, ooh, is it anywhere near where I was? And so
I mean, I went out to, you know what? I'm really mad at myself. I didn't film very much content. Last weekend, we went out to the caldera that is in the heel of the boot that's in Missouri that doesn't have a whole lot of science on it. I mean, get this. It is a pre-Cambrian, it's a pre-Cambrian caldera of a volcano.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about how old this is for a second. Like just imagine this for a second. So there is a caldera protruding through limestone, but it's not, because it's from an orogenic event that happened in a pre-Cambrian life. So no life. And it's in Missouri. And it's really hard to explain. And so no one's really done it. And there's like maybe 5 articles on it. And it's
how do you get an erogenous event without life? That's very interesting. That's
an erogenic.
I'm just playing with words. I'm being an asshole. I'm so sorry.
I was gonna say,
an erogenous event.
Because subduction leads to erogeny, and that's
there you go.
Subduction leads to erogeny. That sounds like a science joke that I'm not.
It is. It's
I'm not privy to.
When you have when you have a colliding boundary of tectonic plates, and you have a subduction zone, your subduction is the plate that goes underneath it.
Right.
Will build mountains up above.
Yeah.
As it goes through. Right. This is called an orogenic event or orogeny. So subduction leads to orogeny, and orogeny normally has volcanoes, which is what this orogenic event is. So
every single word.
Learned something new today.
Every single word was what?
Every single word in that description sounds dirty, and I love it so much.
It did.
But wait, it gets even better. So the central area of the caldera has some amazing columnar joints. So there's these beautiful long pipe-looking things that are perfectly organized. They're bright red.
Do they erupt?
So no, it comes from old lava tubes that cooled at a fairly fast and consistent rate. So it created these mud cracks that go all the way down. But they are, for lack of a better term, they're very phallic looking. like not just like 1 or 2. There's thousands of them, all just
a regular sausage fest.
Just it is dirty. It involves dirt.
A friend of mine was just doing research down in St. Croix, and apparently there are these cacti everywhere, and I forgot the actual name of them because she immediately told me that the locals call them dildo cacti. They're just dildo cactuses everywhere.
So they're the ones that come up and then they have like a knob at the top.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
I'm Googling dildo cacti right now.
A common name for them is dildo cactus.
And it's
the phallic cactus.
Sure. Anything's a dildo if you're brave enough, but like I'm sure like the cacti is you'll find some very good Google results.
I don't feel the urge ever.
The urge. Coward.
I'm not brave enough, in other words.
By the way, the person who commented on my Sex and Sensibility video, I would recommend if that was a useful resource for you. Here are 3 books that I keep next to each other that are great resources for finding things. These 2 are by Anne Fausto Sterling. This one is called Sexing the Body. This one is called Myths of Gender. These are both really good resources on that. And then especially this one's a freaking treasure trove. It's called Evolution's Rainbow by Joan Roughgarden.
Stop it.
Check those out. Girl.
Stop it.
Dildo cacti.
Oh my God.
You're welcome, viewers.
That one looks good. Yeah.
This is what you tuned in. You made the conscious decision to come watch this show. You had no idea it would be this great.
I have no idea what's going to come up when I scroll down, so this will be fun.
I'm a little worried. The more you scroll down, the higher the
Still
risk.
don't. Look at that.
Still don't. That's pretty great.
Yeah, there's a dill don't.
Matt's sitting here contemplating his career.
Matt's just like, I thought we were going to be.
I don't have
And he's gone.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. All right.
Oh gosh. Good Lord. And we're banned.
Luckily, YouTube is way more lenient than TikTok is. So
Are we streaming on Twitch as well right now?
I can act up. I think so. I should be.
Oh.
Although I haven't seen anybody from Twitch in the chat.
That's fair.
So maybe not.
I feel like maybe we should be on Twitch, but we might not have because we got distracted.
I was.
Like we never do that anyway.
Last week when I had a Barterman on, I was streaming to Twitch.
Correa would like it if you went through the books and gave us the title and authors, please.
Yeah. I'll do that one more time here. So these are the three that I showed. This is Myths of Gender, and then Sexing the Body. Both of these are by Anne Fausto Sterling. She's a biologist at... Oh, gosh. I don't remember where she is, but I believe she is a professor of biology somewhere. If I can't remember where, but she's really, really cool, and her arguments in both these are really interesting. Check those out. And then this is my favorite right here, Evolution's Rainbow. The 200 something sources that I put on that video, a significant chunk of them came out of this book here. This is called Evolution's Rainbow by Joan Roughgarden. Who's the major
author for that one?
This is Joan Roughgarden. Joan Roughgarden. She's a biologist at Stanford. I remember her. She's
Rainbow.
And this is a phenomenal book. Just talks about how weird sex and gender are in the animal kingdom. And like, what's really important is that like, anytime anybody talks about biological sex, it is just it's a euphemism. It's just a filler word for external genitalia. It doesn't mean anything. And these these books perfectly summarize it. They just explain like, hey, the Sexing the Body and Myths of Gender are specifically about humans, but Evolution's Rainbow is about a variety of things. And it's just about, hey, here's how this stuff actually works. They do mainly talk about humans, but like, here's all these different exceptions and commentary and like ifs, ands, and buts and unlesses and untils and all sorts of things.
Would you like to go over the various chromosomes and the concept of biological
I would love to.
sex?
Anytime anybody brings up chromosomes when talking about trans people, that you can immediately write them off because it's insane. It's a ridiculous argument.
Exactly.
Because it always boils down to, well, I learned you're either sex or XX or XY in middle school, and I'm like, great. Those of us who studied past middle school will tell you why that's not the only. Those aren't
completely inaccurate.
Madison Cawthorn has left the chat.
Yes. So like, there's first of all, there's a wide variety of things that aren't just XX and XY. Two off the top of my head: Klinefelter syndrome and Turner syndrome. XXY, there's 3 sex chromosomes for Klinefelters. Then you can be X and nothing else in Turner syndrome. You can't be Y and nothing else, but you can have just an X, and you can have a tremendous amount of X's. You can have several different X's and then a Y at the end if you want. And so if your opinion is, well, if you have 2 X chromosomes and you're automatically a female, well, someone with the Turner syndrome has 2 X's and a Y. They're probably going to develop breasts, but they will also have a penis. And like, there's this whole situation here. So like, even if you want to make the insane argument that this dozen or so different variations are, syndromes and symptoms and anomalies and deformities, and they don't really, fine. Even if I want to grant that, those are still human beings. So you don't get to tell them, you have these, therefore you're going to act this way. Therefore you need to act, you need to do this, that, and the other thing, because I think that you should be. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Also, chromosomes don't work the way that people like to pretend that they do. You don't just have this chromosome and then your body just does a thing today. It's just not that simple. Nope. Genetics is this complicated dance of back and forth and back and forth. And so in that video that person was referencing, one example that I give is that everybody watching this has the genes for both testes and ovaries. Everybody does. Because on chromosome number 17, and I have to remember all these names, there's a gene called SOX9, which codes for developing testes. SOX9 is going to do that forever, no matter what. If you have an X chromosome, that has a gene called NR0B1, which makes another protein called DAX1 that stops SOX9 from developing testes. And that's why you have ovaries. I also have an X chromosome. How does that happen? It's because on the Y chromosome, I have another gene called SRY, which makes a different protein, which stops SOX9 from making its protein, so it can't stop SOX9 from making its fucking testes. That's why I have balls, is because of this complicated yes, no, on and off dance to give me the testes that I have. And birds are backwards, by the way. Birds don't have XY, they have ZW, and it's the heterogeneous ones that have, female organs, and then the males have to do this complicated back and forth, and it's super weird. And fucking plants are worse, and that's also always assuming sexually dimorphic dioecious species, where you're going to have,
oh god, there's so many.
Dioecious species have a male and a female. There are lots of monoecious species that don't have different sexes, but still do produce different gametes, because that is how we define sex in biology.
Snails are one of these, or is it slugs?
Yes. Slugs are what we would call hermaphroditic. If you talk about fucking trees, you have what are called perfect flowers. Yes, girl, you get your pneumostomes opening and your weird love darts. Don't tell me that it's a normal, natural, beautiful process. You've seen, God.
Fight me.
Anytime anybody tries to tell me that life is so beautiful and magnificent,
no, it's absolutely disgusting.
Have you seen the nudibranch, motherfucker? It's but this huge amount of just general weirdness that goes into this whole thing. And the way that we actually define sex in biology is gamete size. If you have lots and lots of very small gametes, we call them sperm and you're a boy. If you have very few big gametes, we call them eggs and you're a girl. And just like literally every other definition in biology, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't work a lot of the time. And there's a whole bunch of couching and caveats to it. And there's lots of species that have just one kind of sex chromosome, of gamete, sex cell. We call them isogametic species. We have a name because they're so common. And then there's anisogametic or anisogametic species that have different kinds. There's some that have 3 or more. There's a species of motherfucking fruit fly that has sperm that's bigger than its body. Tell me what it is. Oh, God. Oh, he's got
Jesus is coming back.
This is
Forrest, what kind of coffee do you drink? I need to
Forrest only... Actually,
you don't want to answer that.
No, we should talk about the gamete.
About yourself.
The cocoa plant, or not the cocoa plant, the coffee plant, and it's ridiculous fucking genetics.
The way that caffeine binds to adenosine receptors, or are you talking about?
Oh, just the fact that it's the fact that the coffee plant has multiple cousins that it can reproduce with, but that it constantly will.
I don't know who you're talking about, Charles.
Is this Matt Dillahunty from the TV?
This show? Is just some guy I pulled out.
What TV show? What the hell are you talking? What TV show? I haven't done a TV show in years.
Have you seen a Bud Skipper? God doesn't exist.
I do an internet show that was based on the TV show that's no longer on TV. But
Eye of the Night. How did chromosomes learn the alphabet? What if one gets confused and W thinks it's Y? I realize that this is a joke,
right.
but can we talk about mutations? Because there are times
when
a W will think that it's something else because something didn't change, something was.
Because this is a thing. That is actually a thing.
Because it is. It's absolutely a thing. Genetics is so. You know what? Genetics is fucked up. I'm going to be straightforward with it. Genetics is fucked up. And the reason why is because
I did my thesis on genetics.
But it's just fucking the smallest thing can change everything. Or you could take 1 million fucking pairs out of something and it doesn't change anything.
Because you could have an epigenetic change to where that wasn't being expressed anyway. And so you could have a complete deletion event and not even fucking notice. No. It's madness. And then the biggest bitch of it all is that you hear people that talk about junk DNA all the time or things like that. We have all this.
It's not junk. It's not.
It's palindromatic. It's not junk. Right. It's palindromatic.
you've heard like the whole DNA to RNA to protein thing, right? The central dogma of biology, right? You take your DNA and you read it and you make some RNA and then you make a protein out of that. Like, it's nowhere near that simple, because when you do that copying into making mRNA, the M stands for messenger, but also in your head, you should make it stand for mature, because in order to mature the RNA, you have to slice out all the bullshit in the middle of it. It has these things called introns and exons, and you have to take out some of these, all the introns, if I remember correctly, and then splice all the exons together with another protein called a spliceosome. And then you have this mature RNA. And so we thought for a while, we're like, hey, man, we could just like do that early, use something like CRISPR, cut out all the introns early, and maybe like protein production will go super fast. And it does. It super streamlines the process for that one protein. And then other things on other part of the genome that have nothing to do with that suffer. And we have no fucking idea why. This one thing that does nothing here and just gets in the way is hugely important for this other thing over here somewhere all the time. It's so frustrating. It's beautiful. It's exciting. It's just why I'm not a geneticist, because it's so much there.
And then Witterschnitz wants to know, can you define the word woman? And I want to make a point that there was a recent article that came out because there was a magazine that couldn't define what a woman was. And the thing is, I think that was fucking beautiful that they can't define a woman. I like that.
Yeah. I would say that woman is easy to define. It is the cultural label that we use for people who identify as women.
See, I like that answer. That's a good one too. I like saying like you can't define a woman because there is no restriction.
Yeah,
they're all worried about it being as if any of them fully understood what a tautology was in the first place. But they're all, well, that's a tautology. Yeah, so what? So are countless things. What's the definition of a sports fan?
Oh yeah.
Somebody who's a fan of sports. It's really fun because it always boils down, and we've circled back now. It always boils down to that same sexist, well, you can't have babies. That's not all women do. You know, like that's well, you wear long hair and makeup.
Yeah, that's not what fucking makes you.
Arguably, I can also not have babies. Does that make me not a woman?
Yep, absolutely. Like there's so much, and it's the same thing when you talk about, when you talk about like homosexuality, you have like the don't say gay bills and things like that. When they're like, well, we don't need to teach kids about gay sex. We're teaching that gay people exist. Thank you for telling on yourself and showing the class that you only see gay people as sexual objects. Tell us more about how much
out loud.
Fucking preach. God damn it.
Oh, it's so frustrating, yo. It's the same thing with trans people. What bathroom are they going to use? When I look at a person, the first thing I think about is like, I hope this person's a nice person. Not like, I wonder how they pee. That's not what I care about. Like, why?
And legitimately, like I've been to the movie theater a handful of times in the last couple months as we start to come out of the pandemic, and I'm a Marvel geek, so I went to go see every Marvel movie and some other stuff.
Yes.
But I will say that I go into the
and then he died.
Sorry.
No,
They're still still rehabbing from heart surgery, so my breathing is a mess sometimes. Anyway, I go into the bathroom. Never in my life have I been concerned, worried, or interested about what genitalia the person around me might have. And on only rare occasions have I even been in the position to notice. I've literally, like the trough urinals that are like at the baseball stadiums and stuff where everybody just stands there and you can look and see everything you want.
Yep.
I just go pee, and I've never even thought about it. And the thing is, the response when I say that is, well, of course not. You're a guy. Okay. So are you telling me that cis women are in the restroom where they're partitioned off in different, completely alone for everything they're doing with their business? There's no trough style facility there. And they're worried about what the person in the next stall has for genitalia? I'd be worried if they were eating correctly, given some of the sounds I hear in those situations.
Did you imagine, like, if things were as delicate and as dangerous and as serious as people like to make it sound, that you're in the bathroom and you hear the door and like, hey, let me see your dick. You better have one. They just get like super excited about the next person that walks in. What is that? What is that situation, dude?
Did y'all see the
like a great reality show?
Did y'all see that that account of a woman who encountered a trans woman in the bathroom on Twitter? I got it here.
It's awesome. You should read it because
here it is.
If it's real, it's amazing, and if it's just a sarcastic response, it's amazing.
I can't read
it. All right, I'll read it. Regular day out, went shopping, then ate at McDonald's, went to the toilet, and there was a trans woman. Made brief eye contact as it was a small toilet with 3 cubicles. I was minding my own business and was internally debating if I should say anything or leave. They went into the end cubicle. I went into the opposite end one. Minutes passed. Honestly, felt like forever. I felt a flush, a latch, or the latch of the door noise. A few seconds later, the water running at the sink. I'm looking up and down the gaps in my cubicle, looking for shadows or anything, really. The water stops. The hand dryer starts whirling like a tornado. 30 plus seconds pass and it stops. The main door thuds shut and it's silent. The silence was loud. I get out and look around, wash my hands and leave. So it happened to me. I kept calm and got through it.
What a
You
nightmare.
survived.
I'd
like to start a Kickstarter for Quack 22.
Is this is this real life right now? So you went to the bathroom. That's what that whole thing is saying. You went to the bathroom successfully.
You cared really deeply about the next person.
And you wrote a fucking dramatic.
That has to be a joke. That has to be a joke.
I hope it's a joke. I hope it is.
So, yeah, I really hope that's a joke as well. I think there's only been one time I felt, I don't want to say the word threatened, but rather surprised in a bathroom. And it's like, as the woman here, I'm going to go ahead and say this. It's when other women bring their kids in and let them crawl underneath the stalls.
Yeah, that's
and I'm trying to give them. I'm just like, you're not my child. Please go away. Yes. I'm uncomfortable with this situation.
I've had to yell at my kids for doing that before.
And I mean, I understand kids can be kids. I get that.
Yeah,
I felt so bad because in those situations you might be taking a shit and you're just like.
Trust me, in those situations, the parents feel just as awkward.
Oh, and then I also came.
Thank you for the super chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Hellspawn.
It was brought to my attention that a lot of the time in most public bathrooms, the men's room doesn't have children baby
changing tables. Yeah. Don't fucking get me started. God damn it.
I didn't know.
Sky Zone. The Sky Zone here does not have baby changing tables.
Why?
It's a Sky Zone.
Is it impossible for there?
I literally had to change my kid's diaper on the sink in the little space in between the two sinks. I had to lay him. That's what on the trampoline. That's what you got to do when there's no baby. Why are there no baby changing tables in men's bathrooms? It's very rare.
That only recently was brought to my attention.
Because real men don't change diapers.
Yeah, apparently.
I just think it's ridiculous. Jesus. I'm like, you want to talk about equality? Just put one in there.
Now I have to apologize because I did the thing that I've been trying to stop doing.
Oh God, what's that?
My ex-wife, who's still one of my best friends, is from East Tennessee and has the most lovely accent. And she's really, really, really tired of how anytime anybody wants to sound dumb, they adopt a Southern accent,
right?
Reinforcing a stereotype. As a matter of fact, she loved it. We used to watch Bones, and at some point there was a guy on there who had
the one
brilliant
Louisiana
and a crazy Southern accent. She loved it. So I'm trying to stop doing it for preachers and idiots.
I like to revert into the northern Minnesota accent anytime I have to be a little strange. So it just kind of happens sometimes.
Y'all know who Trey Crowder is, right? The liberal redneck.
Yeah.
He's fucking brilliant and speaks with that accent, and it's just it's confusing at first.
Mm-hmm. It's a habit break as well.
Yeah, it's like I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but I'm not used to hearing these kinds of words coming with this accent.
in one of my recent videos on YouTube, I made fun of anti-vaxxers, and I did the whole thing with like this absurd foghorn leghorn type of thing.
I do that.
Yeah,
I'm guilty.
And it was just like what I immediately slipped into, because that's what I hear around me in Oklahoma, you know. But like, it is a problem because like
we should get Trey on here.
Absolutely, I bet he'd love it.
Note to self: we should add Trey.
We've had Andrew Seidel on here. He knows him, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we're gonna get him to put in a good word.
Did you see that Andrew's moving? I don't know where he's moving, but
he got a new job as like a vice president of.
Yeah, where is he going? Like, where did he move to? Do we know?
I feel like I can't remember where.
I feel like I should reach out and say hi. I don't know where he went.
I reached out to him, but I don't have any details to add.
What was that for us?
Yeah.
I don't know who these people are, but I'm here for the conversation. I'm excited about it.
Andrew Seidel wrote the founding myth. He's worked for the Freedom for Religion Foundation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's cool. He's neat.
I probably know of him more than I know who he. You know what I mean?
I'm in Tulsa, so I feel he's
one of the best people ever in the world ever.
Right on.
He's
I'll look
an
him
awesome
up.
lawyer. He's the only cool lawyer. There's no other cool lawyers, just him.
Yeah. Well, that and my divorce and custody lawyer, he's pretty cool too.
We'll give him.
But anyway, it's a whole nother topic.
No. Do you know? Is he going to the con?
I don't know if he's going to the con. I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
I thought
he is going to be coming back on the show before his next book comes out.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, that's good. We need to continue. Our conversation with him was awesome. We need to keep going with that. That was cool as shit.
Yeah, we had a I'm a member of his Patreon, and he does like once a month like video hangout type thing, and that was a few days ago. And so I was talking to him about all the like batshit crazy laws that are being passed from Republicans about, you know, child marriage, anti contraceptives and marriages, like all this batshit crazy things. Like, what is going on here, Andrew? What is your take? And he was like, Roe v. Wade is going to pass, I think, and they're setting the stage for the next thing that they can demonize.
Yeah.
Like, because once Roe v. Wade is gone, that's what they've been, you know, hinging on for the past several years. Like, once it's actually gone, they can't use that to, you know, farm outrage anymore. They have to come up with something else. So maybe they're setting the stage for something else. I don't know. Anyway, interesting conversation.
I don't want to change subjects, but Omni has a question that I kind of want to answer. Do you ever get tired of answering questions about the Bible? And personally, if it's not a creative question, yeah, it gets a little boring.
Where is?
It's
you said
right
Omni?
at the bottom. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's right at the bottom.
It's the most recent one.
Oh, I get tired of answering like basic questions over and over again, like things that are easy. You can easily Google yourself and get the answer from Wikipedia. Like that gets tiring because I'm not going to do that research. But if you ask more like in-depth questions, like how do we know that the ancient Israelites were polytheistic and worshipped Asherah and Ishtar, and how they felt about Baal? Like questions like that, I get giddy about. Like, I am very excited to answer this question. But yeah, like the basic shit, that gets old. I'm not gonna lie.
What about you, Matt?
So actually, this will be really strange for most people, but I can explain it. One of my biggest pet peeves is having to repeat myself. And considering I've answered the same questions over and over on the show, somebody might say, hey, why haven't you lost your mind? And it's because my particular pet peeve is about repeating myself to either the same person or someone who clearly has been, told this type of thing before. When I'm on the show, I always assume that for the most part, it's a caller's first experience with an atheist. And I realize that I am not always going to be the best first experience, especially if they come with a load of bullshit and I start, dispassionately ripping through their arguments. But also, like today, there was a caller who didn't get to their second point. And their second point was that the Great Pyramid is constructed exactly on the line of latitude that is the speed of light in meters per second. Now, if you Google Great Pyramid speed of light, you'll find I don't know how many websites that pop up right off the bat that explain this is not remotely a big deal, and it's not nearly as accurate as you think it is. And what does it prove anyway? And hey, meters are essentially an arbitrary length, or they used to be an arbitrary length, and now a meter is the distance that light travels in a second. And so they want to make something more out of it. That, it's the speed of light, and it's right there in the definition of the meter, and it's right there at the Great Pyramid. And I'm like, no, stop. You could have Googled this, and instead of wasting everybody's time calling in about it, which we didn't get to, you could have just sat down and thought about it for a couple seconds and said, maybe this isn't the profound thing I thought it was. And if it still seems profound, then you should be able to explain that to someone in a way that they can understand, because I can't count the number. I won't claim to be the brightest person on the planet, but I think most people could agree that I'm not a blubbering idiot. And the number of times that I get told that I don't understand something, and I don't just mean from theists, I mean from theists, from mythicists, from, philosophers, from logicians, from debate coaches. It's all like, I don't understand. And I'm like, okay, then explain it to me, because I'm pretty fucking teachable. Matter of fact, I pick up things really quickly. That's been the history. So teach me. No. That's the times when things get to be kind of annoying to be asked the same question over and over again, because quite often when I'm asked, I know I know the person that's asking isn't actually listening to the answer. They're just waiting for their turn to say the next thing.
Ooh. Hold on. Wiener Schnitz, show and tell a desk trinket. Oh, God.
I have too many trinkets.
I have a lot myself. I'm going to go with this one. Ugh.
We're still working on a name for this guy.
All right, desk trinket.
For my 3D printed trilobite that glows in the dark.
I do a lot of Twitch streams, so a lot of my desk trinkets have already made the air, but this is a Japanese puzzle box.
Puzzle box. Oh, I love those.
Oh.
I have a handful of them.
Or
by sliding different panels.
No one needs to see this, but my jar of teeth. That's getting blurred out for some reason.
Blurred out.
You shouldn't have shown us.
Apparently, I'm being censored.
I was getting up to grab something from the shelves behind me, and my fiance's arm just shut the door, and she handed me this periodic table that she just bought with all the little elements, pieces, like little tiny fragments of them.
Oh, that's cool as shit.
So this is now sitting on the new shelves in the hallway. We've been
I've almost
cleaning
ordered
out
that.
Oh, I love that. I want one. Oh, that's awesome.
Really guy.
Yeah. Here's my jar of teeth.
So mine is a sculpture I made. My green screen's kind of fucking up, but this is colored pencils and epoxy resin, and I carved it to look like a bird skull.
I love it.
So
I think it's awesome.
That's what I chose.
I want it.
Yeah,
I want one.
There's the show and tell.
Done.
There you go.
That was a fun question. I appreciate that.
That is a fun question. Also, as a side note, just I might as well do this on the air. Ricky, are you going to bring down the tattooing stuff so I can get a tattoo this weekend?
Probably not, just because doing a tattoo, even a small tattoo, takes time to like sanitize everything, prep everything.
That's fine.
I don't know what kind of time we're gonna have.
That's okay.
I just saw in the chat Dustin said something about watch Forrest pull out a whole ass spine, and I'm over here like, don't fucking challenge me, bro.
I will do this.
I'll get a brain next.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I want a spine.
I have lots of jars of dirt.
Wasn't there a guy on TikTok not too long ago that sold human spines and human bones, and it turns out they were like the remains of indigenous people, and
That's
then he
horrific.
like disappeared.
I've got
Yeah.
a pickle
Now
octopus.
This was
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That sounds absolutely terrifying, and also par for the course for the fucking internet.
Right, right.
A friend of mine is a
jar of
geologist.
dirt.
Yes, a friend of mine is a geologist, and he was working on an oil rig that was digging in Kingfisher County, Oklahoma. This is sand from the Ordovician period. See if I can get it to focus.
Are there grams in there? Can we see
fragments?
What is the Ordovician period? Was
Did
that?
you just ask to see his clam?
After the show. The Ordovician. So this sand comes from somewhere between 485.4 to 443.8 million years ago. This sand was extracted 9,452 feet below the ground, and so
that's good distance.
This is Ordovician was when we started getting. If I remember off the top of my head, we were getting jawless fishes at this time. And I believe this is when we started getting the first placoderms as well, the first like armor plating on things on fish creatures. And then right after that,
I can't remember the name of it, but this is when that one fish that was like super duper armored was in
so that comes next. That's during the Devonian.
Yeah.
You mean like the trilobite?
Trilobite's been there for a while.
So the trilobites have been around.
Yeah, I know but I have a trilobite and I wanted to show it.
Mine's in a box.
Right after the Ordovician, during the Devonian, is when we got what's his name, Dunkelosseus. These gigantic armored.
Yes.
Why do we all have trilobites?
Why wouldn't we? I got this one in Missouri. I was passing through.
Well, you can find them here.
They're surprisingly cheap
because there's so many of them, and they kept re-evolving. Have you not seen horseshoe crabs?
Seriously. Also in Branson, there's this really cool fossil store that you can go to. They sell all sorts of things for super cheap.
It's owned by a guy named Daniel, and he's super, super sweet, and I love him to death, and I visit him all the time, and he is epic because anytime I visit him, he always has some cool stuff behind the desk that he hasn't put out yet, and he's just like, take a look at this, and he'll just like, well, bam, and like put something out, and I'm like, ah!
That's radical, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, we stop by every time we pass through there and buy some. I've got like this zipper oyster I got from him a little while ago.
Oh,
well, it's like a comet.
I love that he has like a kids box too, where you can just like pick out little.
Yeah,
they're it's adorable. It's really cute. I spend too much money in there. I try not to go too often.
Every time we visit, we go crack a geode open every single time.
Oh, I don't. That's the one thing I don't do is just because every time I go visit my grandmother, I can just go out to to Cedar River and I can find some.
That is exactly where my mind went, Dr. Hellspawn.
This was the last person that I did Reacteria over. This is John and Jane. This would be John, based on the angle of that femur or of that pelvis. This would be
that coccyx was expelled.
Y'all know my stupid walks for my stupid mental health I've been going on.
Oh, you have all those iron.
I found a beaver skull yesterday.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Then crazy was like, oh, shit, a beaver skull. Mine.
That's fabulous.
It's on my shelf now.
It has a beaver tooth. One of them. I have like 3.
We're just showing things. Is this the rest of the show? Because I'll do.
I don't know. It's just showing.
I have a little baby octopus in a jar downstairs.
I have multiple.
We could do an entire show and tell episode.
Here's a jar of octopuses.
Nice.
Octopi, I think it is, sir.
I grabbed the skull of the largest snake that ever bit me. This is just fragmented. This is a red-tailed boa constrictor. She was 10 foot long, and her name was Bertha. And she took a chunk out of my arm so bad that I couldn't bend my wrist for about a week and a half. And then we became friends.
And then you...
So,
this is an entire skeleton of a sea snake that was in the stomach of a shark that I was dissecting.
That's awesome.
I also have the jaw, the eyeball,
That's
the
pretty
brain, and the fins of that shark that I was dissecting. But I did not expect to find intact sea snake, including the skull, which is actually like right up there. At some point, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to try and take off some of the tissue because it wasn't fully digested. But I think it's neat. It's just one of those.
That is pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. And then I have like a bunch of other things that I haven't shown on air that people don't always need to know I have, because it just gets weirder.
We can go through our collections and just make a whole show out of that.
We could.
Saturating my hand in alcohol spray because those octopus jars
I'm
weren't as
not
close.
making shark soup. I swear, this is alcohol in here. Maybe
Shark fin soup.
Oh man!
All right, where are we going to go from here with the conversation?
Here's the fins.
I
There's
came
the
on here.
eyeballs.
Oh my god, dude, that's radical. This is a wonderful show. I came on here expecting to be screaming about how toxic religious ideologies are and the abuse of Christianity.
Well, you got a little bit of that in.
Check out these octopus jars, you guys! Oh my god!
Yeah,
It's all about balance here. Yeah.
I never bought that mole that Norse had at the Oddities shop. I'm kind of hoping it's still there. I might pick it up because he has this beautiful sample of a mole in a jar, and I'm just like, oh, it's so pretty. I want it. Snake vodka. I also have that. I have the Cobra vodka, or I have the Cobra whiskey that has like a cobra in the whiskey bottle.
My mom's boyfriend has a bottle of tequila with a scorpion in it, and I'm super jealous. I'm like, when he decides to crack that open, let me know. I'm gonna.
Absolutely.
I definitely want to partake in that endeavor.
Drink, but I would love to try. You know, that sounds exciting.
Oh, I drink shit tons.
If we really want to do show and tell, I will go and grab my box and just start whipping things out. I have boxes and boxes of oddities that are not oddities to me.
We do just need more forests in our lives.
I know.
Don't right?
I need to drive over to Tulsa and visit you sometime.
We'll do a thing, man.
Yeah. No.
I make a mean jambalaya.
Video. What? Say what?
I said I make a mean jambalaya. So anytime, like,
I know you told me about that. I am.
I get some creators up here. It's my go-to thing when I have company, dude.
I need to meet your lady though. I need to meet her because you've said so many good things. I got to meet her.
She's like a Disney princess with hella curves.
I love it.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm a Disney princess with animals. I just walk up and they're just like totally cool with me no matter what. Happened today, in fact. Took my dog for a walk, and like 3 other people are like, "Hey, my dog's really shy," and I'm like, "That's okay." And I sat down on the ground, and the dog just came up and like put its head on my shoulder, and like, he's not that shy. It's fine.
Anyway, how you doing down there, Matt? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
doing this.
You know, I don't have a massive oddities collection, although I do have the octopus fetus downstairs, and I have lots of junk around and tons of magic collection. I was just like, oh, what can I do for show and tell? And then I got so wrapped up in what everybody else was showing that I don't have anything.
Can you do a sleight of hand on camera?
Can you give us a quick magic demonstration?
Do it. That sounds exciting. No pressure.
Well, I can pull my finger off a little bit.
I was about to
say that one. How did you do that?
Hold
on.
Wizard.
Go back.
What's weird is I've been packing stuff up, getting ready for the show.
Oh.
And so the stuff that I might normally have close to me, I don't have currently. So.
Oh, it's all good.
No.
Okay. No pressure there.
Yeah, and plus, as Tana said, how do you outdo a spine?
I was gonna say, yeah, I can't.
I mean, the only thing I could pull out right now that would outdo a spine is a Brent Spiner.
What is that?
It's Data from Star Trek. If he just came walking in right now, that would be a nerd plus one over a spy, I think.
I recently did a video on TikTok regarding a soil sample that came across my desk prior to me not working where I'm working now, or where I was working. And we had the hardest time figuring out what the hell it was because it was blue and like it was clay, but then there were blue crystals, not crystals, sand, blue sand. It was sand. We were like, why the fuck is it blue? Like, why the fuck is it blue? Turns out we're pretty positive that we hit a tourmaline pocket within a sandstone clay boundary that just sat there and just like rubbed and has just degraded and weathered away. So all of the very sticky sand or all of the sticky clay is just covered in this blue tourmaline sand. And it's cool as shit. And I did a video on it just to like with a microscope, which it's horrible quality, of course, because couldn't get my camera to work. But it's neat as hell. I have it drying out right now to see if I can grind it even farther.
Beautiful.
And see what I can do.
You will have to do a video on that tomorrow.
I mean, I already posted a video of it. It's one of those what's under the microscope videos that I've done a few of. I did it with the Roman coin. I did it with that. I might do it with something else.
Oh, I'm so jealous of that Roman coin.
Oh, wait, you mean these ones? Like,
no. Don't even do this right now. Why are you doing this to me?
You mean these ones? Right here?
God damn it. I hate you.
These coins?
I hate you so goddamn much.
But look at it. Just look at it. It's just so beautiful.
Anyway, Matt, what do you nerd out about?
Yeah, Matt, what do you nerd out? Do you like whiskey?
Besides magic.
So besides magic, it's Marvel and video games, and I collect a bunch of stuff. I don't know.
So Marvel, let's talk about Marvel.
This poor man on the spot so hard.
So Matt is currently medicated and playing bullet chess in between conversations.
This is true.
I have a thing.
I'm gonna finish the bullet chess just as soon as this guy moves, and then you can ask me whatever you want.
You're just fine. I have a thing if it's cool with you. That's totally different, but it's from the chat here. There is a person here named Nikki who says, "Hey, God bless you all," and is currently trying to stir up a conversation in the chat, which some people bought into and said, "Hey, you know where you are, right?" And this person saying, "Yes, and God is so wonderful and He loves you," and all this. I just want to throw out there because I know I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on this particular show, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But what I hope that people like Nikki understand is that while I am very sure that you think that you are doing something very nice by coming here and saying, "Hey, God loves you," you think, I'm certain, and I'm not trying to be patronizing, I really do believe that you believe that you are being welcoming and warm and inviting, and that you're trying to tell us that we are loved and that we're, all these things. I'm sure that that's where you're coming from. What you don't realize, or it's like I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, saying you don't realize, is that that's a horrible, evil, cruel thing to say to somebody. That you are loved by this God. That's an awful thing to say, especially to somebody like us. Because I'm assuming you're coming from a Christian perspective here. I'm assuming that you believe in some sort of a hell. This is the God that's for eternity, and you're coming from this position of by the way, you're evil, you're disgusting, you're wicked, you're broken, you're sick, you're diseased. You are a disease onto this world. You were born evil. Just by you being here is a problem, and all you could possibly hope to do is grovel and beg and cry and just hopefully someday lower yourself to the point where you deserve to not be tortured, because as you currently are, eternal damnation and torture is the best, most just thing that could possibly happen, because I love you and God love. That's what's coded in this language. You are coming in here with a message of love, and what you don't see in that is that is absolutely steeped in the most vicious hate you could possibly imagine. And it's cloaked in this sick mockery of what you might call love. And it's a horrible, horrible thing to say to people. So I'm sure you think you're being nice, but you need to realize is that is a disgusting and terrible thing to do. And it definitely doesn't go the right way when you're talking. It doesn't do the thing you're thinking you're doing. You know what I mean?
I genuinely wish we were on one of the call-in shows, because I'd love to have Nikki call in and explain themselves. Because Nikki is saying they were an atheist for 54 years. Well, yeah, I hear that every now and then, and it doesn't impress me remotely, because I don't know what you mean by atheist or why you were an atheist. But I can tell you this, I'm an atheist because I am not convinced that there's compelling evidence for any of the gods that have been proposed. If I'm ever in a position later in my life to say I used to be an atheist, but now I'm not, that means I have become convinced of the probability and likelihood of a particular God. And because of what it would take to convince me, it would be trivially easy for me to explain to all of my atheist friends exactly what convinced me and why it should also convince them. And you know what never happens? That ever. Not once in the entire history of talking to people who pull this I used to be an atheist shit have any of them ever made the remotest attempt to provide the sort of evidence that would convince a skeptic. So telling me that once upon a time you didn't believe, we might as well be talking about, are babies atheists? Are rocks atheists? I don't give a shit that you didn't once believe. I want to know what changed your mind. I don't care whether or not you tell me you think I'm loved. I want to know what changed your mind. I don't care if you think I'm going to hell. I don't care if you think we can just disagree and we should share each other's company. I want to know what changed your mind. And if you're not willing to do that, fuck off, because everything else you've said is useless.
That's also like you want to come in here with this concept of love and tell me how loved I am that I'm going to be saved. What about, in the last 24 hours, about 1,000 children under the age of 5 starved to death every single hour. They weren't as important as this.
My apologies, but I needed to jump back in because Nikki just said it doesn't convince me either, Matt. No evidence would ever convince you. Go fuck yourself. I'm convinced of all evidence that is reason. I believe things for good reasons. For you to reply to what I said with it wouldn't convince you either shows that you're full of shit.
And now they're arguing. They say, too bad that you hate me. Nobody hates you.
No one hates you.
You're saying.
I don't know who the fuck you are. You're just letters on a screen.
You could be my mom for all I know, and I still don't.
If anything, we are giving you more respect to just not patronize you and say, "Oh, that's very nice. Please go away now." We're telling you what we think about the god awful shit that you just said. What's wrong with you?
What gets me is this ever so increasingly popular claim among Christians is that I used to be an atheist.
I'm not offended.
Bullshit. There's a difference between being an atheist and being a non-Christian. And 90% of the time, that's what they mean when they say I was an atheist. They just, you just weren't a Christian. And then you convert Christianity and you say, I used to be an atheist like you, because it's a way to earn clout. That's all that fucking is. You're trying to earn some sort of fucking street cred by saying that you were an atheist. You were as smart as we are, but then you realize the truth. Like, no, fucker, you weren't a Christian. That's not the same thing as being a naturalist or an atheist or a skeptic or anything. You're just placing that title on your past self in order to get clout from your community.
They came back once again with
Matt here. I know you just said too bad you are offended. First off, we're not offended. We're calling out your bullshit. Secondly, no evidence will ever convince you guys. I'm with Matt. What evidence convinced you? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, if you tell us, and then we weren't actually convinced, then you would have the strongest case available, because you would be able to produce a video that says, "Hey, these atheists asked me about what changed their mind, and I told them that it wouldn't convince them, and then I told them, and it didn't convince them." And then you could do that and embarrass all of us to show how absolutely unreasonable we are that we weren't convinced by your overwhelming case. But instead of doing that, what did you do? At every opportunity, you avoided every opportunity to share why you believe, why we should believe, which means you're just in here running your fucking mouth because you feel good and you feel superior. Well, you're not.
She got quiet.
But don't you know, we're just so offended. We're triggered little snowflakes because you said something stupid and we told you why it was stupid.
Yeah.
That,
if I claim to be a triggered snowflake, someone will edit this and make sure that that's completely what I'm always referred to as. So as a woman, I can't do that.
Right.
So just tell me your evidence. I can't admit to this because
just make sure you're smiling the entire time so they can't tell you to smile.
Sit there and smile all the time. Fuck you.
I love my fiance so much that if I thought she didn't love me back, I'd lock her in my basement and torture her for a little while until she felt like loving me. Doesn't that sound nice, you guys? Shouldn't I tell the world about that? Isn't that sweet? Shouldn't I go tell her and she would just fall in love with me all that much more? Doesn't that sound wonderful?
Right. So my thing is let's grant every apologist wet dream here and say that science has found traces of divine intervention in the creation of the universe. Okay. Let's just say for the sake of argument, there is probably a God that did everything. Okay. Now what? Does this, are we supposed to worship this God? Yes, no. How do we know? Is this one God? Is this multiple gods? Is this God good? Is it evil? Is it all perfect? Is it all powerful? Is it incompetent? We know nothing about this God, even if we posit that, yes, it had some hand in the creation of the universe. So you come in here and say like, oh, God blessed you. How the fuck do you know that?
Yeah.
Where are you getting this evidence from? Even if there is a God, how do you know that he operates that way? How do you know that your ideas about this God are the correct ones and every other claims about this God are wrong? How do you know?
Actually, didn't choose to bless anybody at the children's hospital down the road from my house. They don't need to be blessed. No, but hey, I got a pretty low car payment. That's good for me, right?
I got a close parking spot at Sheetz this morning. That was awesome.
Radical.
Thanks, God.
And all it cost was some bone cancer.
Right.
I had a preacher who was a former physicist and is a current Church of Christ preacher. At this big event I was invited to go through. It was a 3-day where I debated. They would preach at each other all day long, and then I would debate the brother of the guy who ran the church. We did it 3 nights in a row. This guy who was a physicist and degreed everything else, who also thinks the Earth is young, and it threw me for a loop.
Really?
And we were having a conversation, and his little lecture that he gave was about how God answers prayer. And what he said was, because I questioned him about it, he said that for any individual prayer, we can't know whether or not God has answered it, but we can know that God does answer prayer. And I said, hang on a minute. What you just described as true for each element of the series must then be true for the totality of the series. You're a physicist and you're sitting here telling me you could show you every prayer that's ever been prayed and couldn't tell any one of them specifically were answered by God, but we absolutely know God answers prayer. How can you know that?
I have a question for that. Was he a physicist or did he just graduate with a degree in physics?
He actually worked as a physicist for a little while.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, for a little while, it doesn't anymore though. Maybe there's a reason for that.
Well, so I was going to use the same logic Christians use against us for not being Christian. That like we were never really good at Christianity. Like we never really understood it. We never really tried that hard. I mean, C's get degrees. You can still become a physicist.
There's a guy at the Discovery Institute that went and got a PhD in geology.
Like what?
There's a guy at the Discovery Institute who went and got a PhD in geology.
Yes, he did.
Despite not agreeing with any of it.
Oh, yeah.
So the only thing that the PhD shows is that you did the work. It doesn't show what you understand or what you believe, which is,
even better.
I put myself in good company with James Randi in that,
when you defend your thesis, you can be wrong and still go through with the defense and still get your PhD. It is weird how that works. So there are some PhD. I love reading bad PhDs. I fucking love it because I'm like, what? It's like I need to have like a list of names of people that have like written horrible arguments and just be like, if I ever see any of these names pop up on anything, I'm dismissing it entirely because I don't fucking trust them.
That's one thing that I wish more people understood about science and general is like, and this is something that I try to teach, and I try to teach it as like a positive thing. But there is a message is that anybody can be a scientist. The definition of a scientist is someone who is studying or has expert knowledge in science. I was a scientist before I got any degrees because I was studying science. I've been a scientist for years because I've been studying. Anybody can get a degree in anything. I have degrees in biology, and I do research in biology. I call myself a biologist. I would do that but it doesn't matter. None of it matters. I can call myself a mechanic if I start learning how to fix cars. It doesn't mean I'm worth a damn at it.
This is like defining women. This is like defining someone's a woman.
Exactly.
This is the same thing.
If I go tell you that you can put Cheerios in your gas tank and make your car run better, I'm still a mechanic. I'm just a shitty mechanic, but I'm still a mechanic. And if you go around and tell everybody, well, I met a mechanic and he said Cheerios make your car run better, that doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't mean your argument makes any fucking sense. I guarantee I can find a scientific paper that says the earth is flat. I can find a scientific paper that says any goddamn thing, because anybody can be a scientist. It's about the majority. It's about if you're a good scientist. If you want to call yourself a scientist, go for it. Stand up for questioning, be criticized, be critiqued on every single thing you think and say. If you're ready for that, give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. Genuinely, I think so, but it's not for everybody. So dude.
It definitely takes the mindset. It's sometimes there are times like, okay, you're a scientist. Answer me this question. I'm just like, oh, fuck, I'm not in the mood for this today.
Yeah, dude, one of my Reacteria episodes was a PhD microbiologist saying that evolution doesn't work. Right. And he's like, well, I proved that evolution doesn't make sense because I made these, these bacteria, they became resistant to antibiotics, but that's not really evolution. So evolution doesn't make any sense and I'm like, dude, you just described several mechanisms of evolution and said it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. You are still a scientist.
Not only did he describe it, he proved it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course, because science is all about proof, not evidence.
Well,
take that, atheists.
Take that.
That's the thing, is that like these people, and I saw Charlie Darwinning put Answers in Genesis has biologists on the roster, and those are real biologists who just are think crazy things. And they have degrees in biology. They probably have done research in biology. They are allowed to call themselves scientists. They're just shitty scientists. And that's the difference.
Charles's argument. Look at this. Charles Butler in here says the earth is flat. 71% of the planet is water, and it's not carbonated. Ergo, most of the earth is flat.
That's perfect.
Have y'all heard Answers in Genesis? Statement of faith.
What?
The Answers in Genesis statement of faith. Listen to this. This is on their website.
Oh, this is another Answers in.
Yeah, listen. Again, PhDs on their panel, including Ken Ham's wife. No apparent, perceived, or claimed evidence in any field of study, including science, history, and chronology, can be valid if it contradicts the clear teachings of Scripture. Obtained by historical grammatical interpretation. Of primary importance is the fact that evidence is always subject to interpretation by fallible people who do not possess all information.
Yeah. And see that right there, that's where I would argue you are no longer a scientist. Not to say by definition you're a scientist, but in terms of what it actually takes to do science, to learn science, to teach science, if you're going to start your career saying, nothing will change my mind, you've lost it. You've lost the argument. You've lost it. What is that?
Isn't everybody making decisions in the absence of complete knowledge? I mean,
nice.
Yeah. Are those chick tracts? What are you holding up?
These are Answers in Genesis.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, that's right. You got those at the thing you went to
Iowa State Fair last year. Yes. And I still haven't done anything with them.
State Fair.
So this one's by Ken Ham. It talks about racism.
Oh, great.
I have not gone through and like made videos of this. I want to. I want to have discussions with it. Like I want to go book.
I super want to hear Ken Ham's take on racism. Like that's
you do. I mean, we can pop it up.
Definitely.
But like no. So
it's not sarcasm at all.
Is natural selection the same thing as evolution?
Jesus Christ.
Functionally, if you're talking about it in the same sentence, yeah, it's a mechanism. It works. That's the whole.
Stop following me. We are not related.
Well, yeah, because that's a Zollinger diagram, and those are really like misleading and unfortunate. So that's no reasonable person would put that in
irrefutable proof.
Yes, that makes sense. Irrefutable proof that evolution makes more sense than creationism. Sure, that's great. Why Christianity? I ask that question all the time. Fucking why Christianity?
Ray,
because it's the religion of white people. That's why.
Oh, Lord, Ray Comfort.
Why
is there death and suffering? Because you touch yourself at night, Ken. God.
Ken absolutely touches himself at night.
Is there a real? Oh.
How many times do you think Ken Ham has jerked off in the Ark?
Hold on. Allow me to read.
Don't make me think about that.
I bet it's a lot.
You know, we were just about coming to the end of a nice, pleasant evening. I have a magic show to prepare and a conference to prepare for. And now I'm going to have images of Ken Ham masturbating in the Ark stuck in my fucking head. Why did I agree to this?
I sincerely apologize.
I was going to say, if you want to, at some point, we can schedule a Nerds and Heresy episode where we read and discuss all of the pamphlet information.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Which, I mean, instead of doing it now, but like, I like this opening paragraph. I just want to, if I may, if you, it's
no, by all means.
Okay, cool. The biblical answer to racism
I support this.
by Ken Ham. Can we all blame all our problems on Ken Ham? Yes. What if a Chinese person were to marry a Polynesian or an African with black skin, were to marry a Japanese, or a person from India were to marry a person from America with white skin? Would these marriages be wrong?
Oh God, it hurts.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna interrupt you immediately. Why the fuck was Japanese the only person who wasn't qualified with the word person?
Right.
All of them.
I didn't even catch that.
An American person or a Japanese. What the fuck is that?
Wait for it. It gets better.
It actually said a Japanese. There we go.
No, it said a Japanese.
What?
Yes. No,
all
right
right
here.
Keep going.
Right fucking there.
Lord.
Marry a Japanese.
A Japanese.
Damn Japs.
Many people would claim that such interracial marriages are wrong. Some Christians would say that they directly violate God's principles in the Bible and should not be allowed. To answer these questions, let's first understand what science tells us about race.
I'm dying to hear this because this is actually one of my specialties. I'm a motherfucking bioanthropologist, bitch.
I know it is. I know. Oh, are you kidding me? I wanted to trigger for us.
Because if it's anything besides fucking nothing, you're wrong. Let's go. What does science say about race?
What constitutes a race? In the 1800s, before Darwinian evolution was popularized, most people, when talking about races, would be referring to such groups as the English race, the Irish race, and so on. However,
so they're already wrong. That's super cool. No, race referred to species, and there wasn't a concept of race as tied to ethnicity until the 1700s in America. It is a uniquely American invention, and it wasn't fucking popularized. It was discovered, you smooth-brained nut job. Continue. I'm so sorry.
Okay, I want it on the record.
You unwrinkled brain.
Forrest is going to be doing an episode of Atheist Experience next week while I'm at the convention. And I can't wait because anybody and everybody who's ever complained that I'm like riled up and enthusiastic and blah, blah, blah. Forrest is going to make me look like a teddy bear.
I know where to push Forrest's buttons. I've figured out some of those buttons, and I know where to push them. I know how to get him happy, and I know how
by all means, you keep reading that. I'll just go ahead and sit over here with my American Anthropological Association's textbook on what race is and how it's defined and how it's a social construct and not a biological construct. I'll read this. You read that. Continue, Natty.
Continue. Onward. Okay.
Oh my God, this was such a good episode.
However, this all changed in 1859 when Charles Darwin publishes his book On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life.
So we've
Oh no!
Oh no!
God canceled Forrest.
What?
Give him a second. Give him a second. He'll be back. Have you said your famous
across the room and it landed on my keyboard and it kicked me out of the stream. So ignoring the fact that race means species. We're starting with that, just so everybody knows, every time they say the word race from now on, they are conflating two different concepts that have nothing to do with each other.
I am going to read this next paragraph, and then I'm going to show you a fucking
I'm not going to say it.
That makes me want to burn this book. Okay?
Yeah, no, I'll listen to the whole paragraph. I won't say a word.
Get ready. Okay.
Go for it.
Darwinian evolution was and still is inherently a racist philosophy, teaching that different groups or races of people evolved at different times and rates. So some groups are more like their ape-like ancestors than others. Go on.
Oh no, is that the whole thing? Is that all they could fit into that little paragraph? Is that all their tiny little minds could squeeze in a little thing? Yeah? No, is there more?
They're gonna quote Gould really quick.
Oh, of course.
The late leading evolutionist Stephen Jay Gould claimed biological arguments for racism may have been common before 1859, but they increased by orders of magnitude following the acceptance of evolutionary theory. Hold on. This is the chart I'm wanting to show you.
Fuck off.
No, that's in the book. There's a Caucasoid.
Those are not words that we still use, you dense sacks of shit. So, Caucasoid and Mongoloid and Negroid and Australoid, these are very extremely outdated terms from physical anthropology. These are
the term Negroid is outdated, really?
Yeah, you would know it, right? These are concepts that went back to like fucking Linnaeus. Like this is insane. This is when they would
study the cranium and say that the brain or the bones of your brain may adjust your personality and may adjust.
Yes.
Like, do you remember that scene in Django when they like show the skull of that one slave and he says, you see, this line here tells you that he would be a good servant. And this line says he's a strong man, but with no will.
This was a real pseudoscience that was around for hundreds of years because of dumb shits like Carlos Linnaeus. So this, for them to put that in that book,
that's the word, phrenology. Sorry.
Yeah, phrenology. Yes, thank you.
Morgan.
Yes. That diagram, for them to use those types of words, is beyond disingenuous because they're pulling up stuff that hasn't been like even close to usable for the past 300 years. Like just look up Franz Boas and shut the fuck up, Andros and Genesis. Also, this idea that Darwin's theory is somehow racist or promoting race. When Darwin traveled around the world, he saw a lot of slavery and he was disgusted by it. Darwin argued that because we are all related and because we share a common ancestor, racism and slavery are immoral and stupid. He was actually on that side of the fence. He was on the right side of history, the one that you guys aren't on.
But this is fun. A few pages later, they decide to talk about
that's a dihybrid cross. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they arguing?
A simple exercise with the Punnett square shows that if each parent has a middle brown shade of skin, the combinations that they could produce result in a wide variety of shades of skin in just one generation. Okay. Based on skin colors seen today, we can infer that Adam and Eve likely would have had a middle brown skin color.
How is that?
Their children and their children's children would have ranged from very light to very dark. This is the beginning of skin color.
That's surprisingly progressive of them.
You just explained evolution, you slimy sack of snail droppings.
That's why races exist today. Race is a social construct, not a biological one, because evolution explains racial differences, not the social structures. Humans, the very first humans, our species, were black in Africa, and then they went out of Africa, where my ancestors went where there isn't a lot of vitamin D, rich grains, or direct sunlight, and we got lighter skin. It's not fucking hard. We've known this since Nina Jablonski. We've had this information for decades, y'all. It's not new shit. Oh, my glob. You can't do this to me.
This is just the racism one. I can't wait to get into the others.
This is a whole new podcast.
You know,
oh yeah,
we are coming up on the 2-hour mark.
I'll write a whole I'll make a whole video about it. I'll make a whole textbook explaining the details. I'll cite a million sources, and I'll make it a fabulous textbook that teaches itself to you. I'll program it. I'll engineer it. It'll teach it to you, and it'll burn your house down. It'll be great.
That's a very intelligent design you just described.
One thing.
I'm just feeling Cave Johnson energy, and I want to scream
it's okay. Charles, you want more Forrest? Subscribe to his YouTube page. Check him out on TikTok. He's on Twitter, I think.
And maybe we'll have him more on the show more often.
Yeah, and then on top of that, Charles, when I'm living there, you can come and talk to him when I'm having discussions with him. You can come in and say hi. It's okay. Like we can. So Charles is James's brother. Just want to throw that out there really quick.
Oh, okay. Hi, Charles.
So yeah, we will definitely. I will make introductions soon enough. Charles is brilliant when it comes to computers, so it's wonderful.
Somebody got where I was going with the burn your house down thing. Make life take the lemons back.
Make life take those lemons back.
I realized how angry I was getting. I was just leaning into the Cave Johnson energy.
I love how passionate you get, and it's so much fun.
Oh,
but yeah,
I wish I could harness your energy.
I have all of this. I have a book, like actual flip book, display like it's Noah's Ark. And like its discovery and shit. And then what's better, when I was going through some old boxes, is I found a 1960s The Christian Way guideline through your confirmation for the Holy Spirit. And I am so excited to read it.
Oh man.
Well, that's gross.
And then you know what, Forrest, just for shits and giggles, you should know. Because I had a very interesting conversation for like an hour and a half to 2 hours at the Answers in Genesis booth at the Iowa State Fair. They wanted me to walk away eventually. So they gave me a bunch of free shit, hence the books. But also, as in the days of Noah, the movie.
Oh, fuck.
The movie. Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, it talks about how they went about making the decisions they made in creating the Ark encounter and all of the different questions that
I am super curious about
and dinosaurs
how they
and things like that.
Jesus Christ.
So, you know,
they
we could have a watch party.
Maybe we could do a watch party. That could be fun.
A watch party with Forrest. We'll pause every 2 weeks.
We just did a watch party of the Hillsong documentary for my patrons.
Wonderful. Well, I was gonna say I could just bring the DVD over and Forrest could upload it somehow onto his computer and we could just
I'll do a whole episode of React Series. It'll be great.
All right, I'm gonna wrap the show up.
Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to go over. I just figured.
No, thanks for giving me the opportunity to freak the fuck out. I got my exercise in for the day. I appreciate that.
and I can rest really comfortably next weekend when I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, guarantee.
I'm not worried about atheist experience at all now. Turn Forrest loose. Release the Kraken.
I will ruin your show or bring it to a new level. We'll see which one happens.
Worst case,
it's going to be one or the other, though.
Again.
All
Matt,
right.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Sure. I appreciate you.
Thanks. I was glad to do it. And let me know when you start doing the podcast on all the Answers in Genesis drivel, because that's going to be fun to watch.
I'm going to want like a panel of people to listen to me just read. And then
we're going to have to do reactions. We're going to have to make this happen, Nat. And get anybody we can in on it.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a thing. We're going to make a thing out of it. And Forrest and I want both of you in on it because Forrest is going to have the energy, but Matt's going to come in here with some killers. I'm fairly certain he's going to be like, "Why is this argument?"
We'll extend the invites, and whoever wants to accept them.
I'm already not particularly welcome at the Ark Park or whatever. I mean, they didn't throw a fit or anything, but I got to the inn and I just politely asked if Ken Ham was around. And
you actually went?
Oh yeah. The local group up there took me and Seth at the same time.
You and Seth. Is there video of this?
Oh my god.
Yes, there is.
Oh my God! How did I not know about this? I gotta look this
or
up.
at least there's video of us talking about it. There's pictures that I know Seth posted. I don't know how much of it was video recorded, but yeah, it was fun. I really wanted to get to say hi to Ken while I was there, and they were like, "Oh no, he's not here. He's over at the other museum," and I just snickered.
Go figure.
Museum.
And now he's going to be building the Tower of Babel next.
Yeah. It's all of his. I want to relieve. I just want to put an A in front of the museum because that becomes a pun in like 3 different ways.
AAA. And
oh, okay.
A is in.
Took me a second, but I'm there now.
No, so like the Sight and Sound Theater in Branson is owned by the Arc Experience and
really
the Answers in Genesis. Yeah. So quick story before we're gone. In high school, I did a lot of sound system and audio stuff for theater because I thought it was really cool. And Sight and Sound has an amazing theater. Like they have all the top gear to do lifts and scenes.
I'm familiar, actually. Yeah,
they huge, right? And I was able to go in there in order to shadow for a day, like the different texts. I didn't have to sign a waiver for safety or anything. No. But I did have to sign a I am Christian waiver.
Oh my
God.
God.
I believe in Christianity, and therefore this is in high school, mind you. And I had absolutely no problem signing that and just walking in. Even though I knew damn straight I wasn't. Just like, oh, what's he gonna do? Send me to hell? I'll sign it.
Right.
What the fuck's going on?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Remind me next time, and I'll have stuff about Branson, Springfield, Mountain Home, that little bizarre triangle there.
Oh, there's
if you're close to Branson,
right?
Then you would have heard about Kirby Van Birch.
Oh yes. Might I add, one of my side jobs when I was in high school was working as one of his ushers. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I know Kirby.
Yeah. I almost bought one of his big Carter the Great things after he went bankrupt and had everything taken away and had his cats.
Bambi still lives in town too. Bambi still fucking lives here.
No.
It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, enough side stuff. People be like, "Who the hell are you talking about? What's
Dude,
the deal?"
Kirby Van Birch. Like,
Sorry,
if you know what Tiger King is, then you know who Kirby Van Birch is. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, moving on. Thanks everybody for coming. Forrest, it's always a pleasure. We need to brand again.
So the thing that everyone's been trying to get me to say is this is probably my favorite episode I've ever done because I say that like every episode.
Because he does.
Well, now I don't feel special anymore.
Oh no, but here's the thing: is I don't say it every episode, and I can absolutely say every time Forrest has been on here has been one of my top shows.
I can easily say this is my favorite episode you've done. So
there you go.
I'm good with that. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, I don't know how to end shows, as everybody knows as well.
Thank you all for coming.
Thanks,
so have a good night.
Good night.
Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, white supremacy is stupid, and if that offends you, fuck yourself. Bye.
Yep. And racism is stupid. So I'm just gonna hit the end record button now.
Eventually, just
good night, everybody.
Hit stop anytime now.